Hey, so today is the last day of 2018, December 31st. We're a few hours away from New Year's Day, 2019. I honestly can't believe it. This year has flown by so quick for me, largely because nothing much has happened. But I'll sum up my thoughts about this year um, in another video. But right now, I wanted to talk about a trip that I recently went on with my family. Um, we went to see my half brother in the US for about a week. We stayed at his house with his wife and kids. And, well, what can I say? I think I should, um, before getting into what happened on the trip, if you've listened to some of my other videos, I've discussed how my family is very fundamentalist, evangelical Christian, and are big supporters of Donald Trump and just very conservative in their worldview in general. Watch a lot of Fox News, right-wing media online. And I had fully expected throughout this trip that they would, at any chance, go off on their, usual political rantings. But I don't know, I had this naive hope that maybe it would only, you know, be once or twice, and I wouldn't really have to deal with that. It would just be a trip with the family, right? Nothing more. But no, I was wrong. I was horribly wrong. Several dozen times throughout the trip, they would go off on their rants, and it was almost kind of shocking some of the stuff that I heard some of my family members say, especially my half brother, who is really off the deep end. When I was on that, when I was looking through his house, I saw a lot of Trump apparel. He owns a book by Trump, a bunch of shirts by Trump. And I remember we were in the car. It was me, my half brother, and my dad. We were in the car, and he started talking about his wife's sister who married a black man, and they recently had a child. I bring up his race, that he's a black man, because it relates to, what he then started talking about, which he basically, from what I recall, said, I'm not a white nationalist or anything, but I'm just concerned about this darkening of white people, this war on white people. And then he said something along the lines of, white people aren't reproducing because they're all beta male millennials living in their parents' basement. That's what I remember him saying. And, I was just in the backseat listening in horror, because there was nothing I could say, nothing I could do. I never once said anything whenever they went off on their rants and tirades. And I never do, because it would just bring unnecessary tension, and it would make them suspicious of me, and I don't want that. I mean, it'd be pointless to say anything, because they are deeply entrenched in their beliefs, in their insane, bigoted, homophobic, and even racist worldview. just at the core of it, just fundamentalists. I there'd just be there's nothing I could say would ever have any effect on them. There's no point. But just it was just really shocking to hear some of that. And I guess just to respond to that point, about what my half brother was talking about. I mean, yeah, obviously you may not be a white nationalist, but what you're saying is a down the line white nationalist talking point when you're referring to the darkening and the war on white people, whatever the hell that means or what that is. Yeah, white nationalists talk about this all the time. They refer to it as, white genocide or the quote unquote great replacement, which refers to, demographic changes mainly in Europe. I think there's a really good video I'll link it in the description, by a guy named Sean. He gets into that nonsense and he debunks it. Whenever we would watch a movie, downstairs at night in his basement, he has this own little home theater, with surround sound, and every night we would gather around and watch a movie to end off the day, or while we were there. And we could never watch a movie without them going off on some just insane political ranting about whatever was being shown in the film. Whether it be just ranting about like feminism or whatever. Whenever they would see like Wonder Woman pop up on the screen, and there was this other movie that we watched. I think it was this movie called Rampage, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And there was this one scene where, the two antagonists of the film, they're like, the heads of this, multinational corporation that experiments with like genetics or whatever. And I guess like, the woman in that scene was taking the center stage, while the man, he was, the male character, he was sort of, nerdy and, dorky and sitting at the back, right? And my dad, he says, I'm like, oh, you see what they're doing? How they're feminizing everything. And then my half brother, he said, yeah, it's such an attack on white males, just making everyone effeminate. And I was sitting back there thinking, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Like just one goddamn scene. Like that didn't even last like 10 seconds. With, the woman taking the lead role per se in that scene. And, the male character being like the nerdy one in that role. Like you do realize what movie you're watching, right? Like it stars Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. The guy is probably one of the most like buffest dudes in Hollywood. How the hell would this movie be promoting like the emasculation of quote unquote white males? It's just so ridiculous. And, this is just one of the many numerous occasions that they've just couldn't help themselves, and they just started ranting nonsensically about feminism, about social justice, about Democrats, about the left, about gay people, about transgender people. it was just so tiring, and I had to keep compartmentalizing and try to find a, like, just try to get out of the room as quick as I could. I go to the washroom and just block it out. And it's just deeply depressing when you realize that, you know, this is my entire family, and there's not one person in my family I can go to who could even slightly understand what I'm talking about, because they're all like this. Every single one of them. They all share this poisonous, intolerant, bigoted, and violently homophobic. It's all the worst things. This worldview. They all share it. And I don't know what to do. There's nothing I can do. There's nothing I could say. I just have to deal with it. I have to compartmentalize. I have to reconcile. It's difficult. It's very difficult. And I think this trip, more than anything, has served as kind of a wake up call that, you know, I really need to set a long term plan here to move out soon. I'm not sure when. It certainly won't be in the next few years, but I'm hoping, you know, 5, 7 years from now, I can move out, which means, you know, starting in 2019, I'll have to find a job and start saving up. I just don't know how much more I can take of this. It's likely only going to get worse. So if you couldn't already tell or conclude, yeah, the trip was not enjoyable at all. My mind was put through the ringer. And every second, I just couldn't wait to go home, to finally be back, safe and sound, and, you know, here I am. But it's just insanely depressing, realizing that, you know, how horrific their general worldview is, and realizing that, you know, this is your family and there's nothing you can do about it.